Amanda with Straightsmile Solutions, straightsmilesolutions.com, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the secret sauce. I'm going to tell you how we pay our associates in our offices who are doing Invisalign. And for the most part, we kind of prefer that the owner doctors in our offices do the Invisalign just because they're more experienced. But occasionally from time to time, we have an associate who's super excited about trying a case or has friends and family. Of course, this is not taking into account any friends and family discount. If you have that, usually that's going to come out of the pocket of the compensation or the production of the associate. If that's what they want to do, that's their choice. They can let us know. But this is kind of our standard. You found this patient, you want to do this Invisalign case. This is how we pay you, basically. And this comes from a lot of experience of me being both an owner, me being an associate, my husband being an owner, my husband being an associate. We feel this is pretty fair because a lot of times when we were owners before, we would be like in the red, in the negative with the lab fee and with the production to the doctor, to the associate. And it was like super stressful trying to do the case. So this is like really fair. And ultimately what a lot of times happens with associates is that either they don't treatment plan the case well, they just don't have the experience, or they honestly, I'm going to use the word half-ass. They half-ass the treatment plan because they don't care, because they just want to get the start. They half-ass putting on the attachments. They half-ass doing the IPR because they don't really care because they're getting paid on more on the front end. They're in no hurry to provide an amazing accountability loop for the patient to get the case finished. And so it just goes on. And ultimately, you know, a lot of times associates leave, they move, especially where we are. There's a lot of turnover because of the military and stuff. And then we ultimately have to finish the case and it ends up being a complete do-over and double the work. This is what we're trying to avoid by paying them this way. So we want them to really think about their case first. And then of course we do make sure that the owner doctor looks over the treatment plan and the Clincheck. All of our cases are done through the owner doctor's portal, the owner doctor's Invisalign case. So ultimately the owner doctor and all of our doctors are, you know, W2s, not 1099. So the owner doctor is ultimately responsible for the treatment plan. And if the doctor up and leaves, okay, that's fine, because the way that the compensation goes is really not a problem. So I think our patient cost is on the low end. The orthodontists are charging about $6,500 in some of our locations, and then the other location that we're going to get, it's more like $7,500. So we try to keep it well under, but we provide the same amount of quality. We also provide one set of retainers. We can talk about that later. Sometimes we have upgrade specials where like if they go on full virtual check-ins and they do all the virtual check-ins, we'll give them an upgrade to Viveras. We do let them know that they are going to need more than one set of retainers for a lifetime, and they need to be aware that will be an additional cost later. That's strongly recommended if they want to insure their teeth for a lifetime. But just to throw that out, what's included, it's also going to include a treatment plan, initial and final records, and one set of retainers for $5,500. We do require a 33% deposit. That's around $1,800-ish, which basically covers our lab fee. That is required unless they're doing some type of third-party payment situation, which gives us all of our money on the front end, takes 7% off. Either way, we're getting at least $1,800. Sorry, we don't do any other in-house financing besides that. So that is how we do it, but we're also in a more affluent area and in an area where people usually don't have that problem to pay that 33% down. If you're in a little more blue collar area, this may not work, although, you know, you'd be surprised what does work. In that case, I would strongly recommend considering something like white label aligners with batch printing. That way you're only paying $200 each time for a lab fee-ish, printing 5 at a time, upper and lower. Definitely check out my videos on white label aligners and batch printing and how you can do that to lower your lab fee. And of course, once you start doing volume with Invisalign, your lab fee goes like way down. So it's not that hard to get to that point. Yes, you might bite the bullet initially, but if you are screening like every single hygiene patient, every single new patient in your office, you will get starts, especially if your cost is a little bit low and your treatment plans are amazing. So 33% goes down, and the associate is going to get 33% production, less 33% of the lab fee. So they get that the 1/3 of the 1/3 at the start, if that makes sense. So 1/3 of the 1/3 at the start. So it ends up being about $400 once we take the 1/3 of the lab fee, the 1/3 of the 1/3 of the lab fee out. So the start is defined as aligners are delivered and attachments are on, and they've taken photos in order to document this. Every single appointment, they're supposed to take photos with the aligners in and the aligners out with bite marks. This is standard. This is something that I tell you about in all my videos to do this and the why behind it. So that's about $400 at the delivery with the attachments on that they get take home. Now they don't get any other money until the case is done. And I know you guys are gonna be like, what the heck? But the goal is to incentivize them to do a proper treatment plan to manage the patient, to manage the accountability loop, and they get everything else at the finish. So that way they stay with us. So if in the back of their mind, if they're thinking they're up and bailing and they're just gonna do a bunch of starts and get all this money, this is not for us, you know? So then I don't want them doing big cases like this. So this incentivizes the associates to stick around and finish their cases. And even if they up and leave, they can still stick around and finish these cases if they want to, if they're able to work it out. So then at the D-bond is defined as attachments off, retainers delivered, final records taken, and patient has signed a D-bond form or a statement of satisfaction. And, photos taken with retainers in. That's another important part. That is going to be the remainder, which is going to be the other 2/3 of their 33% production, less 2/3 of their 33% lab fee. It comes out to about $800-ish. Another option, if they don't want to deal with this, is they can refer this patient to the owner doctor, and they can get a $100 bonus if the patient starts. And starts is defined as aligners delivered, attachments on, and photos documented. So it's a win-win for them. They're either going to get around $1,200 for the case, 1/3 at the beginning, 1/3 at the end. That's after we take the lab fees out. 1/3 at the beginning, 2/3 at the end after we take the lab fees out. Or they're going to get $100 for doing nothing. So it's a win-win. It makes sure that everyone is screening every single patient in our office for Invisalign or Ortho, and for people who are on a crazy easy situation or on a super low budget that can't put down the 33%, if it's a crazy easy case, you can still always work it up in Invisalign. If you see that it's going to be a crazy easy case, then we can always do the white label option for the patient. Hopefully that made sense. I know it seems a little complicated, but it really works for us. Thanks.